What's up, Steelers Nation? Before we jump into today's breaking update, let's take a second to recognize something. This team is pushing every single week to get better. Whether it's fine-tuning the defense, finding rhythm on offense, or helping younger guys grow into their roles, the Pittsburgh Steelers are laser-focused on one thing: bringing championship football back to the city that bleeds black and gold. So if you believe in this team's grind, if you're proud of the direction this squad is heading, go ahead and smash that like button right now. It really helps support the channel and keeps this incredible Steelers community growing. All right, now let's dive into the story, because the Steelers just got some major good news heading into Week 6 against the Cleveland Browns, and it's the kind of update fans have been waiting to hear. Yes, you heard that right. The Pittsburgh Steelers are getting stronger just in time for a huge AFC North showdown. Senior Director of Communications Burt Lawton confirmed via Twitter that Jalen Ramsey, yes, the same All-Pro cornerback who went down with a hamstring injury in Week 4 against the Vikings, has been upgraded from questionable and is likely to play this Sunday against Cleveland. That's huge, Steelers Nation. Originally, reports had Ramsey sidelined for an extended stretch after that injury in Dublin, Ireland, but his return to practice this week changed everything. Even though he started as a limited participant, the fact that he's trending toward playing means the Steelers' defense could be at full strength for the first time this season. And that's not just good news, that's a game changer. Since joining the Steelers back in June through that blockbuster trade with the Miami Dolphins, Jalen Ramsey has already proven to be one of the most valuable additions of the year. Remember, Pittsburgh gave up Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 5th-rounder in exchange for Ramsey, tight end Jonnu Smith, and a 7th-rounder. It was a gutsy move from Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, but one that's already paying off. Ramsey has started all 4 games this season, racking up 14 tackles, 4 passes defended, and an interception against the Seahawks in Week 2. And that play against the Jets in Week 1, the massive hit on Garrett Wilson on 4th and 3 that sealed the win, that's the type of clutch moment that defines the great ones. So having Ramsey back on the field isn't just about numbers. It's about leadership, swagger, and presence. His voice in that secondary has been critical, and with him likely suiting up this Sunday, the Steelers' defense just got its heartbeat back. But it doesn't stop there. The Steelers' secondary is finally getting healthy across the board. Joey Porter Jr., who's been sidelined with a hamstring injury, was a full participant in practice for 3 straight days this week. That's right, JPJ is back. Add in Darius Slay, who returned to practice after missing a session earlier in the week, and suddenly the Steelers have their entire cornerback room intact for the first time since Week 1. Let that sink in. Ramsey, Porter Jr., and Slay, all available. That's 3 Pro Bowl caliber corners, all suited up together, ready to face a Browns team that's desperate to get back on track. And speaking of the Browns, they'll be coming into Acrisure Stadium with rookie Dillon Gabriel making just his 2nd career start. The kid's got potential, but he's going to face one of the most experienced, physical, and opportunistic secondaries in football. If there's ever been a setup for a statement game, this is it. Cleveland's sitting at 1-5 right now, and their offense has been shaky at best. They've relied heavily on rookie running back Quinshon Judkins and tight end David Njoku, but if the Steelers' front 7 can stuff the run early, and with Ramsey, Porter Jr., and Slay locking down the back end, it could be a long day for Gabriel and company. And let's not forget, too, the Steelers are coming off a bye week. That means extra rest, extra preparation, and a chance for Mike Tomlin to tweak game plans and refocus his team after an emotional first month of the season. Historically, Tomlin teams have been strong coming off byes, and now he's got a fully loaded defense ready to go. And while the defense is getting all the attention, let's talk offense for a second, because there's some controversy brewing there too. So, here's the deal. While the defense looks ready to dominate, the running game has been, let's just say, a work in progress. Through 5 weeks, Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell have handled most of the carries, and Gainwell had a breakout game against the Vikings, but the spotlight now shifts to rookie Caleb Johnson, and not for the reasons fans were hoping for. Johnson, a 3rd-round pick out of Iowa, was supposed to bring fresh energy and burst to the backfield. Instead, he's barely seen the field, and according to insider Mike DeFabio, that's a mistake. DeFabio didn't hold back in a recent interview with 93.7 The Fan. He said, I know everyone's furious with him because of that major blunder on the kick return, but you see every other rookie running back around the league being productive. There's legitimate value in this kid. You have to develop him. And honestly, he's right. Johnson made that brutal special teams error against the Seahawks in Week 2, one that turned into a touchdown the other way. And since then, he's been buried on the depth chart. But this kid was electric in college, one of the most complete backs in the Big Ten. He's powerful, patient, and has great field vision. The problem is, he's not getting the reps he needs to grow. That's why DeFabio and a big part of Steelers Nation believe Tomlin might be making a grave mistake by not getting Johnson more involved. The only way young talent develops is through opportunity. And if Johnson doesn't see the field soon, we might be looking back at this decision as one that stunted his early progress. That said, Johnson will be active on Sunday. He's listed as the third running back behind Warren and Gainwell, but with the way Tomlin rotates his backs, don't be surprised if Johnson gets a few chances to prove himself against the Cleveland defense that ranks near the bottom of the league in stopping the run. This could be his moment, his redemption arc. And no, I'm not talking about the small kind where you tweak a few positions and call it a retool. I'm talking about something bigger, something that could change how this franchise operates for the next several years. Here's the deal. For the last few seasons, the Steelers have been in a strange place. Good enough to compete, but not quite good enough to win when it matters most. We've stayed relevant, fought hard, and stayed in the playoff hunt. But when January comes around, everything just falls apart. We haven't won a postseason game in a decade. That's right, a decade. And for a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's simply unacceptable.
So what's happening behind the scenes? According to insider Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated, the Steelers have quietly been setting up for a potential rebuild, even while trying to win right now. And that's a crucial detail. Breer wrote in his latest mailbag that part of the reason the team signed Aaron Rodgers this offseason was because they knew their window with veterans like T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, and Jalen Ramsey was closing fast. Think about that for a second. The Steelers didn't just bring Rodgers in because he's a four-time MVP. They brought him in because they understood time was running out with their defensive core, and this might be the last swing before things start to change. Breer explained it perfectly. I think the Steelers have been set up for that the whole time. In fact, part of the equation in signing Aaron Rodgers was that they only had so many swings left with guys such as T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward and wanted to take advantage of the opportunity in front of them. Translation, this could be it, the final push with this current group. But that brings up the big question. If the Steelers are preparing for a rebuild, does that mean Mike Tomlin would be part of it? Breer didn't answer that directly, which honestly makes this whole situation even more intriguing. Because here's the truth. Mike Tomlin has been the heartbeat of this franchise for almost 2 decades. No losing seasons, period. But at some point, if the Steelers truly tear this down and start over, does Tomlin want to go through that process? Or would the organization consider fresh leadership for a new era? Those are uncomfortable questions, but ones we may have to ask sooner than we'd like. Now, let's talk about the roster. The veterans we've leaned on for years, Hayward, Watt, Ramsey, are still elite, but they're not getting younger. Hayward's 36. Ramsey's been battling injuries. Watt's still in his prime, but even he knows that his championship window doesn't stay open forever. These are proud, ultra-competitive players who want to win now. A rebuild isn't exactly what they signed up for. And that's why the Steelers went out and got Aaron Rodgers. The front office wanted to take one more big shot. They didn't want to waste the last prime years of Watt or watch Hayward's legacy fade without another real playoff run. They looked at the roster, looked at the AFC, and said, if we're doing this, let's go all in. Remember, the team also seriously considered bringing back Justin Fields. Breer said Pittsburgh looked really hard at that possibility, but ultimately passed because they needed a true difference maker at quarterback. And whether you love him or not, Rodgers gives you that edge. Breer wrote, they actually did look really hard at bringing back Justin Fields, but what stopped them, as best I could ascertain it, was that they needed to find a way to move the needle at that spot to become more than the fringe playoff team they've been the past few years. Basically, it was a you-know-what or get-off-the-pot time. In other words, it was now or never. So here's what we're looking at. Rodgers gives this team a chance to win in 2025. But after that, Breer says there's likely a pretty serious retooling coming. Let's be real. That sounds like the front office is preparing for a post-Rodgers world, and that could mean massive changes across the board. If the rebuild does happen, what could it look like? Cam Hayward? Probably gone or retired. Jalen Ramsey could be traded for future picks. Even T.J. Watt, depending on contract situations and age, could find himself on the move if the Steelers decide to go full youth movement. That's not an easy pill to swallow for any fan, but sometimes to build another championship window, you gotta tear it down first. Now, let's imagine what that rebuild could bring. A young quarterback from the draft, a new offensive identity, something Pittsburgh's been trying to find for years. Maybe even a more modern, aggressive philosophy that blends the toughness of old-school Steelers football with today's high-powered offenses. It wouldn't be pretty right away. There might be that first losing season since 2003, but if it sets the foundation for another decade of dominance, another Lombardi, maybe, just maybe it's worth it. And to be honest, Steelers Nation, we've seen this before. The 1980s were rough. The post-Cowher transition had its bumps, but this franchise always finds a way to come back stronger. Always. That's the Pittsburgh way. So, to sum it all up, the Steelers are getting healthy at exactly the right time. Ramsey's return solidifies the defense. Porter Jr. and Slay being back gives the secondary elite depth. The offense, meanwhile, is still finding its rhythm, but if the run game can get going, and if rookie Caleb Johnson can finally make an impact, this could be the complete, balanced version of the Steelers we've all been waiting for. The Browns might come in hungry, but Pittsburgh has every reason to feel confident. A healthy defense, a rookie looking to redeem himself, a rivalry that always delivers fireworks. So here's the question for you. Do you think Jalen Ramsey's return will make the difference against Cleveland this Sunday? And what about rookie Caleb Johnson? Should Mike Tomlin give him more touches or keep leaning on Warren and Gainwell? Drop your thoughts down below. I read every single comment, and I want to hear from the real fans who live and breathe this team. And if you're hyped to see Ramsey back on the field, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single Steelers update this season. Because here in Pittsburgh, every game is personal. Every hit means something, and every win brings us one step closer to the standard. Let's go, Steelers Nation. Bring on the Browns.